This is lightingesl.com. My story. Cleaner, maintenance, stockman, combined. That's right. I did all three. I worked at a large company called Walmart years ago. My shift was night shift, 11 p.m. till 7 a.m. So what do you do as a combination stalker, cleaner, maintenance? Well, I was in charge of maintenance and cleaning and so on at nighttime. Not just myself, a staff of 4, providing they show up for midnight shift. When I say that, most people at night, when they start the job, have a hard time adjusting to working a night shift. In other words, when are they going to sleep? When are they going to eat properly? Well, in my particular case, I was still teaching at Centennial College, daytime, and my shift would start 11 o'clock at night, like I mentioned, at Walmart. This was in the east end of Toronto. The Scarborough area was a campus for Centennial College. I would teach a class till about 9 o'clock, 6 o'clock till 9 o'clock at night. I would change into a Walmart uniform in the washroom at the college, and then take my time driving towards Walmart. This location was in East Markham, 9th Line Highway 7, if you know the area at all. So working in that location, my shift didn't start, like I said, till 11 o'clock at night. But the store is open till 11 o'clock at night. Yeah. So basically, I would show up for the activities for my work about 10 o'clock. And I eat something in the area and take my time. Go into the actual location about 10:30 at night. And my duties were such. As you know, every Walmart store in North America and so on has washrooms, okay. And they have lots of product put on shelves. My job was not to stock shelves, no. My job was to do maintenance, which simply means sometimes waxing the floor, all the garbage on the facilities in the store. In other words, the washrooms in the front of the store, the washrooms for the staff in the back of the store. Yeah. And also the garbage, which means all the containers of garbage outside of the store and inside. Now you add on that to plastic and cardboard. Cardboard meaning if the workers at night are stocking shelves, there's cardboard all over the place on the floor and so on. So my job is to pick all this up, put it away properly into a bin, to crush all that cardboard into a huge block of cardboard, layer upon layer upon layer, and wrap it in steel wire for disposal the following day. But you have to understand, working at nighttime, this particular job was non-stop. In other words, I didn't stand around waiting for people to tell me what to do this and do this. No. There was so much work to do. Plus, you have to drive a specialized machine around the store to clean the floors. Also, if necessary, there were certain parts of the store that had wax on the floors. That's right. Not a turtle wax, no, but a floor wax. Make it nice and shiny looking. Parts of the store had wooden floors. So, which simply means you have to move merchandise out of the way before you can actually put wax on the floor. Now the wax itself was a liquid, which you're probably familiar with, and putting the wax in the floor takes time to dry. Now when I talked about washrooms before, I'm talking about cleaning the men's washroom, women's washroom in the front of the store for customers. There's also men and women's washroom in the back of the store for employees. Yeah. So you obviously can tell a lot to do, a lot to do. People will often ask me, how could you do such a job? I said always the same reason. As long as you're organized and efficiency 101, you'll be just fine. And what I used to do to become organized and, let's say, expression goes, whistle my way through the job, is basically, I used to record music on my cell phone. By recording music on my cell phone, like 1960s, 1970s era of main artists like, let's say, the Beatles, Neil Diamond, the Carpenters, whatever, and also music when it comes to classical music like Mozart, Beethoven, Tchaikovsky. So I had this all down in my cell phone, recorded in my cell phone. Yeah. So basically what I did was I had a system. You have to have a system for such a job. You have to have a system. So what I used to do is I'd walk into the washroom, for example, in the back, where the employees go to the washroom. And I cordon off the areas you couldn't come in while I'm doing my job. And I turn on my music. As I turn on the music, it starts started, I would take some spray, disinfectant spray, and I would spray the washroom toilets, the sinks, etc. And as you know, that product is dangerous in the sense that you had to wear gloves because it eats away bacteria and human waste, etc. So while that's working on that material, I do one stall, the next stall, and so on. Go back to the first stall and wipe it down with paper towels, etc. Remember, I had this down to a system, an actual system. I would be singing and dancing while I'm washing and cleaning the floors, the toilets, and so on. Also, you add on to this is all the garbage I mentioned earlier. All that garbage had to be put in plastic bags outside the store and inside the store. Garbage. I'll put all that garbage into big, huge gray bins, which are on wheels. So you can imagine there's lots to do at night. Lots to do. The odd time, the manager of the store at night would ask me, Brian, do us a favor, help so-and-so in aisle 3, let's say, stock some shelves. So I did that sometimes also. And also create some shelves. Add on to this, final operation for my job at night was to take a machine and drive around and clean the floors. The actual machine had chemical inside the tank of the machine, combination of water plus chemical to clean the floors. And again, the floors had to be all done and dry before the 7 a.m. opening of the store. All the cardboard, all the plastic had to be put away, this machine put away for the next shift, and so on, before 7 a.m. The key is to finish all your job, all your operations of your job, long before the 7 a.m. startup. So I had a system down, like I mentioned before. Well, of course, it's not easy when you start. It's not. My entire operation of my duties was finished roughly 6:15, 6:30 in the morning. Yeah. So you could say I was rushing, but I had no choice. Everything had to be done long before startup of the store. So, time I put the machine away, clean up the area of where the machine was, all my tools and whatever I had to use for that night. You're talking almost 15 minutes before checkout time. So come 7 o'clock, I have my coat on and I'm walking out the door. So as you can tell, a lot of duties to be performed for myself. One thing amazing about this particular store, it was fairly new. In other words, they had a job fair about a week after the actual job opened up, after the store opened up. So everything was pretty new. It was still shiny of everything. No dust on the floor, no dust on the shelves, nothing. This particular store, like I mentioned earlier, was 9th line and Highway 7, East Markham area. Now from my house, it's quite a distance. I live in the Thornhill area. And there's many ways of getting there, of course, taking major highways, sub-highways, streets, and so on. But in this case for myself, I was still teaching at Centennial College, daytime hours, until about 9 o'clock at night. So the biggest issue after a job at night is when you come home. From the location to get home was a good half hour. You had on morning day traffic, and all of a sudden you say to yourself, you got home, do I eat now? Do I take a breakfast? Do I go to sleep? What? So since I'm still teaching, I had to say to myself, well, I have to sleep properly before I go back to school and teach again and organize my lessons. So it was a non-stop thing. I still believe sometimes your body has not adjusted to a night shift position. You're hurting your sleeping type of system. Because a lot of people I noticed when I started working there, they had terrible, terrible eating habits. They would take out a large bag of potato chips, a large bottle of Coca-Cola or Pepsi, whatever, and that was their dinner, which is one of the worst things you can have for your system. In other words, you get a sugar rush. But after a while, that sugar rush drops like a hot potato, and so does your whole body system. So it's not good to have such a meal. You have to eat properly if you're working at night. And the way it works at Walmart, you have to punch in for your time slot, punch out for a break time. You're only allowed a 15-minute break. So when you punch out, like I said before, you have to punch out accordingly, which simply means you have 15 minutes for that break, gobble down as much food as you have to, whatever, and then again, punch out after your break, and then you go back to work. And then you punch out, of course, at 7 o'clock when your shift finished. So as you can tell, as a combination of maintenance, cleaner, part-time stalker, I was a very, very busy camper working at the Walmart store. I also learned why Walmart is very successful. And one of the reasons is all the inventory they stock up in the back warehouse, which you don't see as a customer. Walmart does not own it. They don't have to pay any rent on it. In other words, they don't sell it. It goes back to the manufacturer who sent it. No charge. Absolutely no charge. And of course, one of the perks working there, you receive a 10% discount on products in the store. Once a year, just before Christmas, we call it Boxing Day in Canada. It's a special time of year. There's big sales go on. And so what happens is, every worker is given like a 20% coupon. So instead of the usual 10% off, you get 20% off. And you get 3 coupons up for this. 3. So it's pretty good that way. If you're buying expensive merchandise like a snowblower, like an expensive watch, or merchandise of some kind, to get 20% off is pretty good, pretty good. So sometimes I bought stuff for the family, friends, and so on, using that particular discount. Because it's very good, 20% off. And I realize, I know it's only once a year, but you look forward to it sometimes. And that's how it works at Walmart at night. We have some great people, of course. People leave because they can't handle working at night. They can't handle the pressure on them to stock shelves. Because you have to understand, as you leave the store as a customer towards 11 o'clock, there are skids and skids and skids of merchandise come up outside the warehouse full of stock, all wrapped up properly, shrink wrapped. And people know walking by it's almost time for the store to close and the workers to come in and start stocking shelves at night. And sometimes at night there's a mad scramble for shopping buggies to put merchandise in accordingly, to put on the shelf, and garbage bins and so on. And I have a massive grab scramble myself when I was working there to grab garbage bins and so on, plastic bags for the garbage and so on. But again, overall I must admit, it was a lot of fun. And one last category I have to mention. They had carpet to clean, steam clean, and they had a special machine to steam clean. Now, normally in a steam cleaning kind of vacuum cleaner, you would push the machine forward. This particular case, you had to pull the actual machine backwards. In other words, aisle by aisle, back till the actual compound of chemical and water is finished. Refill it again, back and forth, back and forth. So, as I said, my job was non-stop. Very, very busy. From 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. was non-stop. No time to fool around. No time to sit there and ask for questions. What do I do now? You have no choice because there's so much to do. Amazing, isn't it? This is lightningasl.com. My job. Diaries. Thank you very much for your time. Bye-bye.